Well, I just wrapped up the Fear Street trilogy, brand new trilogy that came to Netflix based on the R.L. Stine books. Just finished it the other night, so now I figured what better time than to jump in and talk about it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Faccis Cinema. I appreciate all the love and support I've been getting from all of you over the past couple of weeks. Subscriber base has definitely risen and makes me feel like I'm doing a great job, so I really appreciate that, guys. And any comments and criticisms you guys leave, I definitely take deep inside, and if it's a compliment, go straight to the heart. If it's a criticism, I just look and see what I can do better and see what I can do to up the the quality and the fire content on this channel. So keep it rolling, guys. So definitely hit that like, share, and subscribe so that we can share all this fire goodness with the world. But on to Fear Street. Yeah, this was a nice surprise, actually. I'm not going to go into a in-depth review or anything like that. Just going to give some general thoughts about the series, what I liked about it, what I didn't, and then kind of like which was my favorite and which was my least favorite. So, me and the wife, we don't really watch too many horror movies together. I know that might sound strange to you guys because of all this behind me, but she's not really a big horror fan like me. But I actually got her to sit down and we dove into these three films together. 1994, 1978, 1666, and 1994 Part 2. When it comes to the last one in the trilogy, I've heard people say, oh, I like the first part better than the second, or the second better than the first, but I didn't know it was literally kind of two movies in one. So I thought that was really cool how it wrapped up with 66, then boom. New title card, Fear Street, 1994, Part 2. I like that. I thought that was really cool, really unique. But knowing me that I am the slasher lover that I am, that was one of the things that I loved about this little trilogy. The slasher elements were all through it. They were paying homage to so many of the previous horror movies that we've grown to love. Obviously, 1994. A lot of Scream-based content in that movie. Teeny bopper cast. You've got the opening kill with the skeleton killer. Very similar to the opening kill of Drew Barrymore. Even when it came down to the outfit, the black robe, similar to Scream, skull mask, kind of similar to Scream. It had Scream written all over it. And for the people that didn't like Scream, and those type of horror movies from the 90s, obviously they probably didn't like 1994 very much. Me, on the other hand, growing up in the 90s with Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Halloween H2O, The Faculty, all of those films I loved growing up. So this movie was going to hit harder for me than for others. I had a really good time with 1994. Yes, at times it did seem a little too teeny bopper, but that was kind of expected in the 90s, but at least in like Scream, in those movies, they were teenagers, but they looked like adults. These were teenagers playing teenagers. A little questioning stuff was a little bit of the raciness of the scenes with the young actors and actresses. The sexual stuff, I didn't anticipate seeing that due to the fact that they look so young. I didn't know if I should keep watching or maybe look away. I didn't know. Kind of a little cringing at times with that stuff. But in 1994, the kills were fantastic. I just gotta say one thing, Bread Slicer. Like I said, I don't know the characters' names. I don't know the actors and actresses' names. I'm not here for that. Just to go over my general thoughts. The Bread Slicer kill was fantastic. I didn't expect it. It's something that you thought, oh, someone's definitely gonna come and rescue that girl right before she's about to go through. Nah, ain't happening. She goes right through, boom! Part of her head goes through the bread slicer, she's dead. And then you're like, oh, okay, time to breathe. Not another kill. Nope, the other dude comes over, hit in the head with an axe, done, killed right off the bat. Like, they may have been teeny boppers in this, but they did not shy away from the kills whatsoever. And kills and gore, they were in these films. They were fantastic. Setting-wise, it wasn't my favorite setting out of this trilogy. That, my friends, would belong to 1978. Obvious reasons. It's at a camp. It's another example of a camp slasher. Beautifully done. The Camp Nightwing killer, my favorite out of all the killers. He was, wow. Like, his look was fantastic. Once he got that sack on his head, freaking like molded to his face, he looked fantastic. The axe, it's everything you want in a camp slasher, kind of similar to Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, The Burning. It's all there, definitely paying homage to all those films. You can't beat it. That's nostalgia right there for many, many people. So I can see why 1978 was a huge hit out of the three films. It hit people where they want, right here in the heartstrings. It took them back to whenever they were younger. That's the films they watched, Friday the 15th and all those films. So it made sense that would be people's favorite films. Character-wise, out of all these, I don't know. I mean, I like the characters from 94. 78, they were alright. You know, that one, the blonde chick who was like doing the drugs and the party and the sex and whatnot, and then turned back around to, you know, kind of redeem herself towards the end, but they were pretty annoying characters. I mean, Ziggy was probably the most likable character, and her sister, because her sister had to overcome being the goody two-shoes to become a badass, so that was pretty cool to watch. But there was just so many characters being thrown at you in the 78 one. Another thing that was very interesting was the molding of multiple subgenres of horror, because it does have a huge slasher tone, and most of it is slasher elements, but they also throw in some of that witchcraft, like, you know, like the paranormal. I don't know if paranormal is the right word, but kind of like movies like The Conjuring and Annabelle and, you know, those possession movies. So they throw all that together and it works. And then, so that I can see why 78 would be the biggest, you know, of the trilogy. And then we jumped into 66. The first half of that movie for me was super slow. Probably the only scene that I really cared for was the one from the church with the preacher that cut out his eyeballs and he killed all the children by cutting their eyes out. That was honestly the creepiest scene out of this whole trilogy. Just the visuals of that. He's up there tapping that thing on the podium and his eyes are bleeding out and he's still alive and talking. That is some creepy ass shit. It reminded me kind of the pasture kind of reminded me of the Ketchum from the Amityville Horror remake, the guy that was in the basement slit his own throat. That's kind of what that reminded me of. But I'm not a huge fan of movies based in olden times. You obviously know that by now. It's just not in my wheelhouse for sure. So it was definitely slower for me. A lot of people said that they saw Solomon as the bad guy, like, immediately. I honestly didn't. It didn't cross my mind. I really thought he was a genuinely nice person. And that actually the Sarah, the witch that everyone thought was a witch, I really thought that she was a witch. So that was kind of, you know, a nice surprise that she wasn't. It didn't go that way to make it that obvious. So I did like that. But when the title card dropped for 1994 Part 2, my mind was... I think I had the most fun. I know I haven't heard this from many people. 1994 Part 2 I had the most fun with. We got all the villains at the mall, caging them in. It had like a Home Alone vibe when they're setting up the traps and whatnot. I really dug that. It made sense since it was in the 90s and Home Alone was in the late 80s, early 90s. So it made sense. The addition of that, I don't even know, the middle-aged black guy, I don't even know his name, but the addition of him was great because he added so much comedic relief. and he was a funny-ass dude, so it worked really well. The whole mall thing had like a kind of like a cabin in the woods vibe, how all those different kind of creatures and whatnot were coming after him. That's kind of the vibes that I got from 94 Part 2. So I did like that, and I also liked each killer, like I said, was kind of similar to somebody else. Like the Nightwing killer was kind of similar to Jason, in my opinion. The Skull Mask killer was similar to Ghostface and Scream. I don't know what that one creepy perverted dude was supposed to be. He kind of had like the jumpsuit on like Michael Myers. I don't know if that's the way they were leaning towards that. It's kind of strange. Ruby Lane was fantastic in her own right. You know, always singing and with the switchblade, that was fantastic. Another thing that was really creepy was that little boy. The little boy who was like beating the shit out of that thing with a big ass bat. Like, he needed to be in this movie more. He was like the creepiest one, and he didn't do anything. He should have been in it more. I really enjoyed that. Once they come back around with another set, and he's one of the main people, he was creepy. He was creepy, dude. And then, I don't know, that other, the killer from like back in the day with like the pointy nose thing, he kind of reminded me of like Harry Warden, like the coal miner for some reason. I don't know why, but I definitely think that they took a lot of homages from horror movies of the past that people love very deeply, and they threw it into this little trilogy, and it delivered. Will I watch this trilogy again? Honestly, probably not. Is it the best horror trilogy ever made? Probably not as well. I mean, it's damn good. It definitely is good. But it's just not something that I'm going to want to jump back into again. It doesn't, for me personally, it just didn't have the rewatchability factor. For others, it might. But overall, me and my wife definitely had a good time with it. She preferred 78 over all the other ones. I preferred 1994 Part 2 over all the other ones. If I had to give them a score out of 5, each of them, honestly, I'd give 94 a 3 out of 5. I would give 78 3.75 out of 5. 1666, I'd probably give a 3 out of 5. You know what? I'll give 94 a 3.5 out of 5. And I would give 1994 Part 2, I'd probably honestly give it a 4 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed Part 2 of 94. Obviously, it was all about the slashers, 100%. The way they trapped them and everything. It just all wrapped up nicely. The story wrapped up nicely. It was a great beginning, middle, and an end. Had a great time with it. If you guys have not seen it, definitely check it out at least once. It's worth that. It's on Netflix. Can't beat it. But that's all. Those are my thoughts on Fear Street. Like the thumbnail said, best trilogy ever? No, it's a fun trilogy and it's definitely enjoyable, but nowhere near the best. But let me know your thoughts on what you guys thought of Fear Street. Definitely leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. It's been a hot topic, you know, on Facebook horror groups and whatnot. So I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Yeah. Hopefully you guys keep enjoying the content. Got some more Friday the 13th kill rankings coming out. Jason Goes to Hell will be next. Stay tuned for that. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because you can have all this up inside of you. So definitely ring that bell for all the notifications for any time this fantastic guy right here releases a new video. So, you know what? I gotta go to the mall to get some CDs, and then I gotta go to camp. I'll catch you guys later. Have a scary day.